Hello, Ben here from Supercoach Insider, bringing you my team into round 4. It's been a good week, tough week for a lot of people though, so I can understand the hurt. But before we move on, SC Insider 100, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Also find us on all the audio platforms as well, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, you name it. The podcast, I believe, tomorrow night will go out each and every week around that Tuesday mark for your listening or watching pleasure. For those on YouTube, please do like, subscribe, get amongst it. Today, obviously brought to you by EarnU, so earnu.io. Get some free bets out on there when you own some cryptocurrency. Free bets each week. I'll follow up with that as well. So follow me, and I'll put up another post on YouTube and this week and show you my bets for this week. Obviously, Port Adelaide hurt me big time, but I digress. We'll talk about that at another stage. Today, I am having a little newie. Shout out as well. A few people have been keeping up to date with me. So another little Japanese. Mate, the Japanese are making some wonderful whiskey. I'll tell you what, I might have even spilt a smidge here. Might just have to... Anyway, this one is wonderful, and I'm going to toast to myself because Swizz and Chris just aren't keeping up, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just going to toast to myself here. Oh, man, that is good. That is good. And it was on sale, so you know I like a bargain. This week I scored 2,287. Much better than a lot of people fared. And I'll explain my moves that I went through and also explain what I'm thinking about for this week. So I'm now ranked 338th overall. I have now overtaken Chris and overtaken Swizz, but it's a bit too early to gloat. We know it's a long season. So basically, if you have made some good moves, then kudos, and I found a few people are trying to make some corrections. For me, I think it's a pretty simple week from now. From basically round 4, 5, 6 should be quite simple. Try not to make too many changes. Save those trades to launch an assault. And that's the one thing I've noticed already. People just trying to burn trades. If you have a failed mid-pricer or even an expensive mid-pricer, I see a lot of people trying to go and like bury to a Tom Green or all these kind of ranges, and Green looks awesome, right? If there's anyone that could do it, I think Green probably could. He's got the Clary and Cripps combined, but again, he hasn't proven it. So if you have a failed person, like you've gone a Chera or you've gone a Sarong, and then you're just kind of trading to another person that may or may not break out, it becomes very dangerous. So I think if you have someone that's failed, try and see if there's somewhere you can maximize some cash. So for instance, if you have a Rochelle, I think I've gotten it right. So it's the Rochelle. Go down to a Martin if you don't have him. Use that cash. Go up and get an actual premium. That would be what I would recommend. Also, the prices have already gone up, so I found a few people trying to jump also on ships, and that they've half sailed. So it's never a good thing to be spending money or chasing last week's points or chasing last week's dollar. So there we go. Let's have a look at my team. And we'll have a look and get into it. So I should probably reverse what I was thinking. Won all my matchups this week. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let me go and undo these changes. So pretty much what I was looking at is Rochelle out in for Martin. Now, this is going to be a challenge for me this week. So I'm going to confirm this trade and go back. So the challenge I have this week is... so last week we spoke about, I thought Hayes was a must-have now, mainly because of the money he made. He's already made $85,000. Ryder or Marshall or any of those forwards gets injured, then basically he's the one that has to come in. So I still trust he will play a few more games this year and make me my $150,000. So it was a really easy decision to get him in, but it was more about who do I get rid of, because I did, as we know, I kind of went in with quite a few of these expensive rookies, which has kind of worked out in the fact that points on ground, so Cherry and Brody getting them on ground compared to having a Rochelle, has worked out, or having to rely on a Hayes or someone like that. So it has kind of worked out for me so far in that fold. Last week when I had McGovern out, so I brought in Bowie into defense. And the reason, again, I spoke about is like, yes, I don't mind Ward, and I think he got about another 54 or something rather. So he's kind of just one of those ones that stagnates in price. And yes, he might make you 100, but I was looking at, well, he's on bench in my midfield, or should I try and get more points on field in my defensive line and give me a little bit of security? So I went with Bowie, which worked out, got an 89, got scaled back, I think, to an 89. His role looks very good. He's hanging just off the back of a contest. They're looking for him as well. Got burnt a couple of times, I think, but his role looks good. Chris was getting real angry. He was pretty much like just standing back of a contest, no attention at all, and they're just giving the handball back out of a contest, and he's getting that possession. So I do like his role there. Hinge was a really good one. I'll talk about this on the Poly podcast as well, but it was horrible for the first quarter. Maybe picked up a little bit in the second quarter. But the third quarter, I definitely watched intently, and the fourth. His tank is actually huge. I can't rate him enough based on the eye test. He was working extremely hard in the defensive 50, but also when he was on the wing, I think they put him on a Frederick. Once Frederick came on as a sub and started to really act with a burst of speed, then he was kind of pushed onto him, still got back into help in defense, made some really courageous intercept marks, and he just gets back. His work engine's really good, so I still quite like him long term. I think he has a lot of potential. So he's done quite well. McCartan, again, one of those ones that'll probably go maybe a 60 to a 90 any other week. So I'm happy to have him as a bit of a loop. De Koning, good enough. He'll be one they'll be looking at in the future just to kind of keep him ticking away. Dacos and Horn Francis. Horn Francis will be the one I'll try and get rid of as soon as I can. But for me, it's pretty much I'm trying to look, okay, Mead I can't get rid of now. Number one, they lost, but he was actually quite impressive. So I think Mead stays in that team. So he's 78 now, fresh in his cycle. His sub score will get rounded out pretty soon. McDonald's just chipping away, not doing anything wrong. He's also one of the ones that can go kind of forward and apply some pressure and possibly kick some goals. So I know he kicked one, missed another. O'Driscoll's the one for me. Now, pretty much what my round comes down to, now Martin is a must-have. Probably makes 100,000 in his first week anyway. Also basically locked into that best 22. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I know O'Driscoll probably plays. I know Rochelle obviously is best 22. So it's not a case of, are they best 22? It's more of a case of, these guys are on the bench anyway. Martin is a must-have. So I'm looking at getting rid of one of those two players. And it's going to be whether, so Rochelle probably has nearly, not peaked in price obviously, but he's that 36 is now in his cycle for 3 rounds. O'Driscoll had his sub score first of all, but when you kind of toy the two of them up, it's like, okay, well, Rochelle is best 22, stays best 22. If I trade out O'Driscoll, then Rochelle can actually act as my swing player from my midfield to my forward line, and I can sort of loophole him because we know he can go big. If he kicks another 4 goals or something, he might break out 100. O'Driscoll is an interesting one. So Mundy's back this week. Fife and stuff like that coming back into the mix as well. He didn't do too well. I think he kicked a goal in the 4th, boosted his score a little bit, got a little bit of the ball, but he didn't look too great before that. I think he was on like 13 or something, like halfway through the third quarter even. Wasn't doing very well. So for me, I think O'Driscoll, unfortunately, because he's played 2 games, he probably still makes a little bit of money. But I'm thinking maybe I hold Rochelle for a bit longer just because I might be able to loophole him and see how we go that way. The big win for me, obviously, this week was Bruce. Now, Bruce, I held him. It was lovely that he got named. So I was really excited for that. So Bruce then moved into the ruck line for me, which enabled me to swing English forward. And that's pretty much helped complement my side because that meant I didn't have to play a Rochelle. It meant that I actually had some flexibility in my side. So I'm pretty well happy there. Now, Dixon got a 61, so he played a little bit of ruck time. That won't continue, so I think Dixon is very vulnerable, but I think he still plays, so I'll be looking to probably cash him out. Probably one of the first ones I can get rid of. Take 100,000, maybe hopefully more, and I might just have to run with that or use it as a loophole. He's probably the guy that you probably would loophole and then use a Hayes or an English to kind of loop with Bruce. I think Bruce did well enough. Cameron said that Bruce was kind of working his way back in, so I think he had a bit of surgery in December or end of last year, so he was working back into it. And I thought he looked good enough. And GWS won, so that's probably the biggest test. He was dominating. He was really enforcing himself around the ground. So I think if he's number 1 ruck or stays in that position, I think it's definitely good for him. So if you don't have Bruce, he's someone you could look to move in. I know some people are thinking outlandish stuff. Only really Marshall with the 3 talls, so Marshall, Hayes, and Paddy Ryder. Marshall's the biggest risk, and I think he's 7% owned or something like that. If you have him, then I could see value in that if it gets you to another premium elsewhere. Don't go Marshall down to Bruce just to then try and go for a green or another speculative. Try and shore up a line, because you've already made a mistake. So if you're going to go down and bank some cash, then at least try and maximize that somewhere else and get you another premium. That's pretty much the best thing. Now, the other thing is that don't be too trigger happy right now. If Martin wasn't such a must-have, I'd be pretty content sitting on my side this week. Even then, it's one of those ones where I'm like, well, do I really want to use a trade? I used 2 for corrections last week. I think 1 more would be within reason. Martin makes a lot of cash. He's also getting some good enough scores that you'd probably be able to loophole as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, everyone. So as far as captains and VCs and stuff like that this week, I think McRae against a weak Richmond has to be probably the C option. And then I'm looking at probably a Neil. Now, the issue is that Geelong, it's in Geelong they're playing, so it could be a little bit difficult depending on what kind of roles they might play up on him. The other one as well is the Big O got suspended, so I'm not sure if there's going to be much dominance in that ruck lineup. Mind you, they're playing Stanley or someone like that, so it's probably not going to be the worst thing in the world anyway. Otherwise, let me have a quick look. Yeah, so I mean, if you have a Clary, I think Port Adelaide, not too bad there. I'd probably be going a Neil for a nice early game, hoping I have a loophole. McRae, I think, is literally lock solid against the Richmond midfield. I think that'll be real weak. Steele, if you have against Hawks, I think will do well. If you have Steele, I think he's a good option. Otherwise, I can't see Carlton tagging Took, but I could be wrong. I mean, if Hewitt could definitely play an accountable role. Cripps is also another good option against Gold Coast, but it is at Metricon. So it's one of those ones for me. I think this week, McRae has to be probably the safest bet as far as your captain options. And from there, I think basically, ladies and gentlemen, just try and hold your trades. Try and stay steady. I would love, and this is one thing I would, if I went, say, Rochelle down and I went Rochelle down to Martin, I'd have 238,000 in the bank, right? I would love to get rid of Whitfield. I would love to get rid of Crisper right now. But the issue is that if I'm burning a trade to go sideways, right, then I'm going to lose the cash that I have. So if I upgrade to, and I'd like to go Lloyd and say Stewart, all right, which would be definitely possible. And I might actually run this through for you. So let's have a look. So let's go and trade in Martin. So if we trade in Martin, bang, free up some cash here. We're going to have to use a trade boost anyway. Now, if we get rid of, say, Whitfield or Shitfield and Crispy, so let's just say Whitfield, and let's just go Lloyd. Now, Lloyd's a tough one because he hasn't even had a price drop yet, so he's definitely dropping cash, but he's someone, again, that should be in that top sort of 6 range, right? And let's go and optimize and get this trade boost happening. Activate. And Crispy, and go Crisp to Stewart. I don't even know if I can afford. Can I? Surely Stewart's dropped some cash. Okay, yep. So he's dropped 16. Okay, so there we go. So pretty much I would then lose about $130,000 out of that equity that I could have. Yes, I like my team instantly much better, right? But the issue is that, again, I'd have 100,000. I'd then burn 2 more trades, so I'd be left with 30 flat, right? The issue is that with that extra 130,000 and the extra 2 trades, I could pretty much just use that 230,000 and go down, one up, and literally go straight to a premium. So what I'm thinking about doing is kind of holding steady, and then it'll probably be maybe like a Horn Francis down to a rookie, and then going a Berry straight to a Steele, or targeting another VC or C option that I could definitely use for when they have a weak opponent coming up. So I'd be targeting Gawn if he bottoms out. I'd be targeting Steele or an Oliver or a Bontempelli, because the Dogs are about to have a real soft draw coming up too. So I'm trying to look at round 6, round 7, round 8, round 9, and just using my trade boost then and going hard and heavy. Now, it's harder if I need to try and find an extra 140,000, then I'm going to have to trade an extra rookie down. And then it starts to affect points on field, because the only ones that are peaking are probably the Cherries, the Brodies, and they're kind of good on field anyway. So that's why I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to hold out. Crisp plays West Coast this week, so I think he does well. Whitfield, I think, showed glimpses. He started off horrible, but he's, again, another one of those impact players that can do well. So I think just hold your premiums, let it sort of settle, try and upgrade, because I'd rather use the money, use my trades to get an extra premium into my side than wasting money and wasting trades just to end up with the same amount of premiums. So I think it's one of those ones, just back him in a little bit. It's only been 3 rounds. See how you go. And the other premiums as well. So Lloyd will get cheaper at some stage. Stewart will get cheaper at some stage, right? I don't think Whitfield's going to bottom out too much because he's already cheap, right? So the main one is Crisp, but it is what it is. You get in for durability, just hold steady, and let me know what you're thinking for this week, everyone, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.